crafting journey here, that journey chick on Instagram. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, that show where I recap live trials. Currently, we are covering the case of the murder of the FSU law professor Dan Markel, and on trial is Catherine McManua, the mastermind. Yeah, I don't know about that, people. I don't know. You gotta listen because the gloves are off. Yep, you gotta hear it. So I'm gonna be working on my mystery diamond painting. I'll try to hold some of it up for you. Light pad off. All right, it's upside down, but I think we've got like a little table here with a flower on it and another table that has like a picture of something. And I think this is, I want to say it's sand, but why would that, why would these tables be outdoors? I don't know. But so I'm working on this section right here. And this, the size of this is, I want to say 50 by 50. It doesn't say, but I'm going to go 50 by 50 on this. It's an ever moment. And the drills are lovely. Oh my God, the drills are amazing. A lot of trash with the dark ones, but otherwise, yeah, pretty amazing. So I'm going to fold this back. And of course, I'm on a section of 310, so a lot of trash in the 310. And I just think that's because they produce, the machines produce so much of those colors, those dark colors, that the machines get worn out over time and they need to be replaced. And not the whole machine, but you know, the stamp or whatever it is. You know, I don't know. I don't make drills. I need to do like a tour of one of these factories, don't I? I need to go find out, how do they do all this? Oh my goodness. Okay, now we need a pen. We got a pen. Do we need, let's throw some wax into this pen. Okay, we are ready to go. I think. No, we need we need drills. So yesterday I went back for my 6-week post-op appointment, which was more like 7 or 8 weeks because of the second surgery. And I told him about swelling, and actually you could see because my leg was a little bit swollen, and he said, no, you know, it's going to swell up from time to time. And I told him about my activity going to the graduation, and he wasn't worried. You know, he says, it'll just keep icing it and it'll go down. Don't have, you know, he says, you don't have to keep taking the aspirin. You're not at risk for any blood clots right now. And I'm like, okay, which also means I can start taking my hormone pills again, because hormone pills, when you take hormone replacement, they put you at a very high risk for blood clots. So they tell you to stop taking that for at least 6 weeks post-op and pre-op. So I haven't taken my hormones for a long time. And then I told him how bad my hip was hurting. And he's like, really? And I said, well, either it's the arthritis or it's an IT band issue. And an IT band is this ligament that runs from your knee all the way up to your hip. And it's a very common for swelling to occur around that ligament, and it causes pain in your hip and your knee. And he said that it's very possible it's the ITBN. I've had ITBN injuries because I used to be a runner, and it's very common in runners if you're not wearing the proper shoes. So, but he says, but he looked at the X-rays. He didn't do any X-rays of the actual hip, but he had the CT scan that he took to, you know, use, you know, to mold the machine or whatever, you know. So there were some glimpses of the hip on that scan, and he said, I do have arthritis there. So he's like, I'm going to give you a shot of cortisone. Oh, yeah, it hurt, but wonderful drug. I love cortisone. I slept so well last night. Oh my gosh, it's still there. The pain's still there, but so much, it's not an 8 anymore. It's more like a 2. So hopefully as this cortisone absorbs, it'll be even less and I can do more. So I emailed my boss, and I said, you know, I'd like to come back on May 30th. And, you know, assuming I can get clearance, because now I have to go to the other doc, the doc that's associated with the disability, to get clearance from them. And she wrote me back, and she's like, great, but Monday's a holiday. That Monday's a holiday. Memorial Day. Who knew? It just kind of creeps up on you. So I guess I'll start the 31st, which means, yeah, okay, 31st. All right. Although Tuesdays and Wednesdays I usually work from home, but I really need to go into the office to figure out like where everything's at. You know, people that have been taking over my stuff. You know what I mean. Okay, I need, oh, perfect. I found it right away. All right. Oh, it's hot in here. It's getting hot in here. So take off all your clothes. It's Friday. Oh, Friday dance. Friday dance. And it's payday. Yay. Do you ever have one of those landlords that just hangs onto your checks? 2 checks. She has not cashed 2 checks. Now, you know, secretly I'm hoping she never does. But meanwhile, the money's sitting in my bank account. It's awfully tempting. Yeah. Just cash the checks, please. Yeah. Where'd my phone go? Okay, so today is National Pretend to be a Millionaire Day. Ready? I'm a millionaire. Do you know how many millionaires there are in this country? 23 million millionaires. Well, you know, having $1 million is not like it used to be, you know. So here are some of the ways that you can celebrate being a millionaire day. You can start a savings account. Now, I don't really have one. I used to, but you know, I would just dip into it all the time. So it wasn't really a savings account. It was more like an overdraft account. Then you can review your financial plans with a professional, trusted expert. I've never done that. I have no idea if I'm set for retirement. I know I should. I know. And they do it for free for people at work. I'll just need to make an appointment. So you need to review your investments. Hold on, let me review my investments. Let's see. Let's get to the investment page of my notebook. There it is. I've reviewed it. I consider my Diamond Art Club stash over there my investments. Not also, you could add money to your 401k. I don't have a 401. Do I have? Yes, I do. But I have not been putting money into it because and here's why. I know this is shame on me, right? Because when I moved here, I took a severe, like, I can't tell you how much. It was many thousands of dollars decrease in pay. But I needed a job that was less stressful. You know, and so I knew I was going to have to change my lifestyle, you know, stop living my millionaire lifestyle. And so one of the things that I had to sacrifice was the 401k, but I do have one that the company contributes to. I don't contribute to it, but once you're with this company for 3 years, which this month is 3 years, you're now vested in the money that they've put in. Now, and the raises that I've gotten over those 3 years are minimal. So I need to take another look and see if it's something I can start doing, putting money into my 401k. Now that my sister's living here and she does contribute to, you know, the household, the running of the household, you know, financially, I think I should probably do that. And here, last but not least, pay off your credit cards. I am doing that. I actually am doing that. I do not have any credit cards. I had a whole bunch, and I ran them all up, of course. And so what I did was I hired this law firm that they just take care of all of it. If anything, lawsuits are filed, you know, they handle all of it. And then what I do is I make a monthly payment to this law firm. And as that money builds up, they negotiate with the credit card companies to resolve, you know, for pennies on the dollar, these accounts. And they've resolved a couple of them to date. So, yeah. then once they're all paid off, I don't have to pay this law firm any money anymore. And then this way you're not bothered by these creditors every single month. And once they find out that you've got a lawyer, they stop emailing you, they stop calling you, and they just have to deal directly with your lawyer. And when they settle these accounts, they usually, most of these companies just ignore the interest. They're just trying to get, the premium settled. And still, that's pennies on the dollar, usually. Also, did you know, what state do you think the most millionaires live in? Take a guess. What state would you... Pause the video and leave a comment. Or don't pause the video and leave a comment about where you think the most millionaires live in this country. It's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy question. Yeah. And then I'll tell you tomorrow. There you go. You'll have to tune in tomorrow to find out. This is probably a good time to tell you to please, if you're enjoying the content of the channel, hit the like button. Today the like button is, he's actually working the fan for me. I told him, please stand over there and wave the leaf. Oh, see, somebody kept saying they're hearing a knocking sound. I'm wondering if this is it. This is the sound that they're hearing, this microphone. I don't know. They said, one of my subscribers said she could hearing a tapping sound. Now, I had to listen very, very hard to hear it, but it might be this. Is that it? I don't know. So I'll try not to tap it. Also, please consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and if you are already subscribed, please consider becoming a member of the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode of Crafting and Crime Daily, because you never know when it's going to upload. Yesterday I was very late getting it uploaded because I had to go to the doctor. Then so I couldn't do the editing or finish the uploading until I got home. I had done the editing already. I just needed to get it uploaded. And doing uploads on other Wi-Fi's is, first of all, not secure, and second of all, takes forever. So now we can talk about the trial of Catherine Magbanua. Gloves are off. Oh my word. So the first defendant, well, let me start. The day started out with the hearing. Remember yesterday I told you that Wendy Adelson's attorney had filed a motion to quash the subpoena by the defense attorneys. Now, the prosecution had already, apparently they extended the immunity. I told you they were going to work this out. The prosecution extended the immunity for this case as well, for this trial, but they quashed the subpoena from the defense attorney. I'm not sure why, but in this case it did not make a hill of beans difference because it was explosive when the defense began their cross-examination of Wendy Adelson. So Wendy Adelson takes the stand. So the first question that the prosecutor deals with is, you have immunity. And she's like, I have derivative immunity. It's what I explained yesterday. It's a qualified immunity and she says, what is your understanding of your immunity? She says, my understanding is that I'm immune from prosecution. And the prosecutor said, do you understand that you're immune from anything you say, in this case, being used against you if you're prosecuted at a later time? And Wendy looks at her and she's like, well, I guess. So I think the prosecutor, I'm surprised they didn't arrest her on the way out of the courtroom. Yeah. Because to say that she is lying is an understatement. Holy moly. So my thoughts are, is it going to come out that her brother's in jail? Are they going to get this out somehow? Because I want the jury to know that finally the Adelson family is being held responsible for this. Well, hold your seats. Hold your seats, yes. So the prosecutor starts out with a divorce. This was a very contentious divorce. Well, she said, I've never been divorced before, but, it wasn't what you would describe as amicable. So then she hands her a file that is 800 pages long. This was the divorce file. 800 pages. She goes, now I want you to look through that and tell me if you think it's contentious. And she goes, you want me to look through this whole thing? And she goes, well, yeah, you don't have to look through the whole thing. Oh, God. So she agreed that part of the contentiousness, like the most contentious issue, was her taking her children and moving to South Florida. Dan Markel was having none of that. And the judge did rule in his favor and said, no, you cannot take those children to South Florida. They must remain here in Tallahassee. So she was pissed. So now she's got to stay in Tallahassee, where she hates Tallahassee. Loathes it, does not like it at all. She likes the nightlife of Miami, the fast-paced life of Miami, South Florida. And it's very different. I gotta tell you, very, very different. A college town versus Miami, really different. During her testimony, she did admit that her brother, Charlie Adelson, had made this off-color joke. He had bought her a television as a divorce gift and said it was cheaper to buy you this television than to hire a hitman. But it was a joke. She said, and it's a joke that he repeated many times, but it was just a joke. That's the way she took it. And as it turns out, she would repeat this joke to everybody she could tell too. So the day of the murder, she testified that she was at home in Tallahassee waiting for the TV repairman. And the prosecutor pointed out, didn't you say that he just bought you this TV? But, between the time he bought her the TV and the time she calls a repairman, it's about 1.5 years time goes by. So she said, yeah, her boys had thrown something at the TV, so it wasn't working properly, and she didn't know whether she should get it repaired or just buy a new one. Yeah. So on the day of the murder, she waits for this television repairman. Then she's got to go to the liquor store to buy. She's going to this party, and she's got to buy a particular brand of bourbon that she promised to bring. So she goes to a liquor store, and then she meets a friend for lunch, and this is when she is notified that she needs to go down to the police department, and this is when she's informed that Dan Markel has been shot. Now, at some point, someone pulls up to the street while all the commotion's going on. All the police cars are there, and there's a police officer who's basically guarding any vehicles going in and out of this street. And he sees her vehicle pull in and immediately pull out. And he thought this was unusual. He said first of all, because it met the description of her vehicle, and second of all, because most people, when they would pull in, they would kind of take a minute or two to reassess, because now they see they can't go that way. Now they have to reassess how they're going to get where they're going to get. And it takes them a minute or so, and then they pull out. But this vehicle pulled in and immediately pulled out. And this officer actually testified yesterday that to this information, and inferring that she had perhaps dropped by the crime scene, just probably to see if it had gone down, you think? I don't know. So then she goes to the police department, and this is where she finds out that her husband is deceased, or that he has been shot and he's in the hospital and probably will not survive. She's there for 6 hours. During that time, she implicates her boyfriend. She's like, you might want to check on him. He was supposed to leave town today at 11 o'clock and drive to Tennessee. Maybe you want to talk to him. He's going to take the stand next. Yeah. And after the divorce, she does this interview, 6-hour interview. Then in the Jewish faith, they have to have the funeral within 24 hours. Now, Dan Markel only lived 14 hours. So then they have the funeral within the next 24 hours. And then the next day, she leaves town, and she never returns to Tallahassee. Takes her 2 boys, never returns. Except for she's got to come back to testify under subpoena for immunity. And then one of the things she did was she changed her son's name to Adelson. Yep. Changed their last name. Why did you do that? Because I was afraid for my boys. There was so much media coverage that I didn't want my boys, I wanted my boys to be protected. So I thought you weren't paying attention to the media coverage, because she had testified that her attorney told her not to look at the media coverage. Well, I wasn't looking at the media coverage, but I knew it was going to be out there, so I changed my boys' names. Are you ever going to change it back? Well, someday I'll change all of our names. And she didn't, nobody asked her to explain that, but I think it probably means she's in a relationship, and you know how that goes. I need coffee. Then, on cross-examination, and I got to read this to you because, oh my God, it is explosive. The defense attorney just hammers her. He says, and he doesn't do this nicely, he says, you understand that until you expose your brother. So it did come out that her brother was in prison. She did finally say, yes, he's been in prison. You understand that until you expose your brother, that he went behind your back to hire hitmen to kill your husband, that you'll remain guilty in the eyes of the world. And she's like, what's your question? She's so cold-hearted. Oh my God. She said at the advice of counsel she had not confronted her brother or mother, both of whom had been implicated in the murder for hire plot, and did not believe she was guilty of any crime. Yeah. And the defense attorney goes on to say, are you afraid you're going to look at it and realize your brother did this? In other words, look at the media thing. You don't realize you could be helpful to this jury in untangling what happened to Professor Markel. Will you please share the truth with this jury? You know what happened here. First of all, I was shocked that nobody, because there's nobody protecting her in this. You know, there's an attorney, the defense attorneys are representing Catherine Magbanowa, and the prosecution is just sitting back going, this is fodder for their prosecution against Charlie Adelson. So they're letting it happen. They're just sitting back enjoying the show. And the judge, I don't know what he's doing, but nobody's stopping this. And I'm like, oh, what? So now the jury knows that Charlie Adelson is in jail and knows that this family is likely behind this murder. Whoa. Now, Wendy admits that she met Catherine two times. Once when they went out to dinner, her and her boyfriend that's going to testify next, and Charlie and Catherine Magbanowa. She said it was a new relationship. She was a nice girl. And then there was another time where they went to the beach and Catherine and her friend went with them. And that's all she remembers of Catherine. Then one other detail that came out during Wendy Adelson's testimony was, and I thought it was interesting, they said, you're an accomplished author. And she's like, that's not funny. And the prosecutor's like, what do you mean that's not funny? You wrote a book. She goes, well, I wouldn't say I'm accomplished. And she goes, well, you wrote a book about how you hated Tallahassee, a fiction book about you. And she said, yeah, it was fiction and it wasn't about Tallahassee. Now, if I can find the book, I'll put a link to that down in the description. She wrote a steamy novel that basically, she calls the Tallahassee some other name, but everything, it's almost like autobiographical. It really is. But that was kind of all that was mentioned about the book. But boy, that cross-examination was, like I said, explosive. Then we get Jeffrey Lacasse. That is her ex-boyfriend. And he walked in, and since the last time he testified, he's gotten a little older, a little grayer in the last year and a half. And I thought, oh, he's not the best looking guy in the drawer. He's not the best looking guy I've ever seen. But charming. Oh my God. He had the jury laughing at some things he said. Like, the jury loved this guy. They loved him. At one point, they asked him, didn't she tell you that she lied during one of the depositions, about her testimony during a deposition? And he said, yeah, but she might have been lying about lying. She lied about everything. And the jury was cracking up. Oh my God. But one thing that he did say he said was very, very chilling. About 5 days prior to the murder, this period of time right before the murder, they were not really getting along. She had left to go to South Florida for 2 weeks. Presumably that was Father's Day during that 2-week time. And during that 2-week time, this was when she had dinner with her boyfriend. Lacoste actually drove down to South Florida, spent the night at Charlie Adelson's house, had dinner with his girlfriend and Catherine Magbanua. They spent some time in the hot tub, and he said, during this 4 hours that I got to know Charlie Adelson, I felt like he was a real ass. That, he dominated the conversation, he was flamboyant, he was braggadocious about his street credibility, and yeah. So so Wendy spent 2 weeks down there in South Florida. So when she comes back, they get together and they go out on a date. They go out to the dinner and a movie, and she tells him that there's been some discussion that Charlie discussed how they could handle the problem of her getting to South Florida with those boys, and including hiring a hitman for $15,000. Now, he said it could have been $50,000, because 15 and 50 sound very much alike. So I don't know which one it was, but he said my stomach flipped. He says it was chilling because especially when, 4 days later, there's a hit on her husband. So just prior to the murder, like a couple days prior to the murder, after they go out on this date and stuff, like the next day or so, they go to this yoga class. And he said it was the most awkward yoga class I've ever been to because she wasn't really talking to him and really conversing with him. And he said, I felt like at this point the relationship was over. We just weren't getting along. He felt like she was manipulating him and lying to him, and he just didn't see that the relationship. He says, I'm 43 years old. I could see where this was going. So when they left the yoga class, he just kind of walks away. Because he had asked her, can you get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? She says, no, I'm busy. And so he just kind of starts to walk away. And she's like, hey, what about, what are you doing Friday? And he says, I'm going out of town. I'm leaving at 11. I'm going to drive to Tennessee to visit some friends of mine. But she's asking him all these questions about what he's doing on this Friday. Are you driving? Are you flying? What time are you leaving? And that's it. He thought that was really, really odd. So he finds out later on that she implicated him when, during that 6-hour interview, and he was really upset. He felt like he'd really been manipulated. So now, he finds himself the focus or a suspect in a murder because she told them that he was leaving at 11 o'clock to go out of town to Tennessee. Well, what actually happened was he decided he was going to leave the night before. So he had the police, by the time he gets in there to interview, the police had already pulled his cell phone records, credit card records, and knew that he was not in town the day of the murder. So basically he was cleared right away. And during his initial interview, he said, you need to look at Charlie and Wendy Adelson. Yeah. Then they put Louis Rivera on the stand, and I did listen to the direct examination. One thing that struck me about Louis Rivera is that he did not deviate from his testimony that he gave in the first trial. Not one iota. Did not deviate. But frankly, it was getting late. I didn't hear all of it, and then I didn't hear the cross. And my understanding is that he didn't finish the cross. It was going to continue this morning. So tomorrow I'll bring you the testimony of Louis Rivera, which should be very interesting. Now, I will say that, like I said, on his direct exam, he stuck to his testimony that he gave in the first trial, indicating that Catherine Magbanua was the mastermind behind all of this, that the money came from her. She delivered the money to him. He got paid $35,000 for the hit. Sergio got $35,000, and Catherine Magbanua got $35,000. So we'll see how the cross-examination goes, because I'm very interested to see if it's as explosive as all of the rest of this. I know Lewis did say that to his knowledge, Sergio never met privately with Charlie Adelson. That, his knowledge what the money was coming from Catherine, and Catherine did deliver the money to him. So we will see what happens tomorrow. So what's going on this day in history? Levi Strauss is patented. Yes, the jeans are patented in 1873. San Francisco businessman Levi Strauss and Reno, Nevada tailor Jacob Davis are given a patent to create work pants reinforced with metal rivets, marking the birth of the world's famous garment, blue jeans. Thank God. Who doesn't love a good... If I had a dime, just a dime for every pair of blue jeans I had in my lifetime, well, maybe $1. Give me $1. I wouldn't be a millionaire, because I don't think I've had a million. I've had a lot. In every size that I've been, in my life, from a toddler all the way to now, I've got on a pair of white ones right now. White jeans. Yeah. These are not blue jeans, they're white. But in San Francisco, Strauss established a wholesale dry goods business under his own name and worked as the West Coast representative of his family's firm. His new business imported clothing, fabric, and other dry goods to sell in the small stores opening all over California and other western states to supply the rapidly expanding communities of gold miners and other settlers. By 1866, Strauss had moved his company to expanded headquarters and was a well-known businessman and supporter of the Jewish community in San Francisco. Jacob Davis, a tailor in Reno, Nevada, was one of Levi Strauss's regular customers. In 1872, he wrote a letter to Strauss about his method of making work pants with metal rivets on the stress points at the corners of the pockets and the base of the button fly to make them stronger. As Davis didn't have the money for the necessary paperwork, he suggested that Strauss provide the funds and that the two men get the patent together. Strauss agreed enthusiastically. Who wouldn't? And the patent for the improvement in fastening pocket openings, the innovation that would produce blue jeans as we know them, was granted to both men on May 20th, 1873. Strauss brought Davis to San Francisco to oversee the first manufacturing facility for waist overalls, as the original jeans were known. At first, they employed seamstresses working out of their homes, but by the 1880s, Strauss had opened his own factory, the famous 501 brand jean, known until 1890 as XX, was soon a bestseller, and the company grew quickly. By the 1920s, Levi's denim waist overalls were the top-selling men's work pant in the United States. As decades passed, the craze only grew, and now blue jeans are worn and beloved by people old, young, and everything in between around the world. I mean, raise your hand if you don't own a pair of blue jeans. Yeah, nobody's going to raise their hand. But interesting how Davis didn't get his name on any of that. But he made money afterwards. He just didn't, that was probably part of the deal. Hey, I put up the funds. This goes under my name. So Strauss, Levi's, which is, I wouldn't, hey, let's go buy some Strausses. Or no, let's go buy some Davises. Let's go buy some Davises. No, Levi's. Okay. All right, guys, that is the show for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to hit the like button. I love you all, and I will see you tonight. Mickey Sunshine Creates is at 6:30 p.m. Central, where we talk about our mystery diamond painting event. I will be part of that live with her, so come say hello to us. And on Sunday at 11 a.m., come check me out. I'm just going to be sitting, chit-chatting, drinking my coffee Sunday morning, chit-chat with me, and we can talk about anything you want. And I hope to see you then. Take care, everybody. Bye.